Hi everyone, and welcome to this AACP webinar sponsored by Enflux. My name is Tom Maggio, and I'll be a moderator for today's session. We'll get started with the session in just a moment. First, let me introduce you to our platform. Notice there is a questions feature in your control panel. Please feel free to ask questions in that window, including technical questions. I'll address those as they come in, but we'll save content-related questions for our panelists. Now, without further ado, let me briefly introduce to you our speaker today. Alejandra Zertuche is the Chief Executive Officer of Enflux, a comprehensive data analytics and decision support platform for higher education. Alejandra possesses a diverse educational background, holding a Bachelor of Science in Industrial Engineering, an MBA from St. Mary's University, and a Master's of Science in Biomedical Informatics from UT Health at Houston. Prior to Enflux, Alejandra worked in the academic assessment at the University of the Incarnate Word, where she became a recognized leader in accreditation and assessments. Alejandra, thank you for being with us today, and please take it away.
Thank you so much. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. I apologize for the shiny background, but this web application doesn't have the background, the virtual backgrounds. As you can see, is sunny in San Antonio, Texas. The weather is getting better. But thank you for joining us today. So today we're here to talk about early intervention for at-risk students and how to provide effective advising and support with analytics. Making sure you can see. In today's session, we're going to discuss the methods on how to identify and monitor at-risk students and what are some of the practical things that we can do for implementing analytics and a decision support system. Then we're going to demonstrate how you can utilize Enflux, and then we're going to talk about the impact of early intervention on graduation rates and the board exam. And I apologize that I'm moving. I had to move my computers. I have one behind the other one. So before we start talking about how to identify students at risk, I want to go through the framework of how do we get there. I think it's extremely important to define what student success means in your program. And we're going to go through these slides just to have a dialogue, a discussion, and self-reflection. So please take a piece of paper, write down notes as we go through this. This is not, what I'm going to provide is not the official definition of student success or at risk, but it's more of a framework that can help you create your own method. So first, I think it's extremely to define student success. What indicates that a student is at risk? What assessment and technology are we utilizing? And the type of assessment, right? We have formative, summative, holistic assessments. Then we need to understand that there's a lot of other factors affecting performance, internal and external factors. And in addition to that, we need to figure out how are we going to provide ongoing insights so that we can find indicators of at risk. So now, within your program, and please feel free to submit questions or your comments, but at a high level, I'm defining student success as a student that graduates on time, they pass the board exam on the first attempt, and they became lifelong learners. Within your program, as we're going through this, please share your comments. What defines that a student has been successful? From there, the second step, I think it's extremely important to define what signals a student at risk. Sometimes primarily academic underperformance, how they're performing on a certain courses and assessments. This causes delayed progression. There's lack of engagement. There might be some wellness issues. And maybe they show signs that they're not prepared to take the board exam. Once again, this is not the official definition, but I think it's important as you're trying to figure out what process can we put in place to identify students at risk and help them effectively. We need to define what student success is and what signals a student at risk. From there, it's extremely helpful to have an illustration of the student journey. We have admissions, and maybe a student at risk in the beginning of the program when they get enrolled is how they perform in the PCAT, if that's still a requirement, and how they perform on their GPAs. Do they have low GPAs? And then they go to the first year, second and third and fourth. So the first year, I think some indications of what tells you that a student is at risk is how they're performing on core courses and foundational sciences, and if they're having a challenge adapting to the rigor of professional studies. I know from experience, we have seen where students are at risk because they're not able to perform well on like A&P courses. Then the second year and third year are extremely interesting because besides just having didactic courses, they start having experiential education. So then how they perform on both can be an indication of the student being at risk. Then the 4th year, you have the advanced pharmacy practice experience. And then at the same time, you might have some standardized testing that has been home built, or you're buying some to assess if the students are ready to pass the board exam. So once again, this is just a high level student journey, but as you evaluate this in your program, it's extremely important to highlight key metrics or key indications within each of these steps that can tell you that a student might be at risk. Once you have that, the second step of this is to identify what technology and what assessments are you utilizing through the student journey. At a high level, we all know we have FarmCAS, we have learning management system, we have electronic testing, standardized testing. In addition to that, we might have a system that can help you with experiential experiential evaluations. So this is at a high level. You might have other data points. So once again, now we have the definition of a student at success, student at risk, the student journey, the assessments and the technology we're using. From there, it's extremely important to provide resources to faculty so that about what factors are impacting student learning. After this webinar, I will share a link to a fantastic course that Dr. James Culhane created about what are the factors impacting student learning. There are internal factors like cognitive system and affective system, and then there are the external factors that are academic and non-academic. And it's extremely important to provide these resources to faculty or academic advisors so that they understand that students not performing well in a course, it might not be just lack of studying or lack of studying skills, but there might be other factors affecting student performance. Now you have the whole process. You went through the whole self-assessment of what student success means, what student at risk means, what technology you're utilizing. Now, how do you continuously improve the cycle for student success? The first step, you collect and integrate the data. Second step, you analyze the trends and identify students at risk. Third step, you intervene strategically. Fourth step, and extremely important, if we want students to be lifelong learners, we need to empower students with insights. We need to give them those insights so that they can own their own journey in the program. And then the fifth step is to monitor and adjust. But just remember that within all of these steps, what's continuous is providing timely insights and documenting the process. Now, a lot of you already know about Enflux. We started with pharmacy. So I just want to show you how Enflux can help you with the whole process. We can connect directly to your data sources. We normalize the data. And now we have really cool new features. One is Competency Genie. Competency Genie can help you auto-label assessment data with competencies, like the new competencies COEPA. In addition to that, we can do the Bloom's taxonomy. We can do a lot of other competencies. So we do the tagging for you, coming from ExamSoft, coming from Canvas. We also have our new feature that is coming up next month, in the following months, which is a curriculum mapping, course catalog, and student management. A lot of our customers have seen some of the early release of this. From this, everything goes to a single database. You obtain dashboards that can help you identify students at risk and more, evaluate the curriculum as well. And then we have our action plans that can help you document, track, and evaluate student interventions and quickly align them with accreditation standards assessment or academic advising. We work across 13 disciplines. We see how all the disciplines are in crucial need of data so that they can identify students at risk and provide them tailored support. Now, what are we seeing? A world without Enflux or without a system like Enflux, it's a manual data management process. So faculty or advisors are like seeking the data from the faculty members. It's a time-consuming process because they need to clean the data, they need to process everything, and most likely they're using Excel. And the most important one, it can delay intervention. The time it takes to seek the data from faculty, organize the data in a spreadsheet, is time being taken away from you helping the students on time. Enflux is automated. You obtain those insights without touching any spreadsheet. And we have great news for all of you. We have daily data refreshes. So now you can identify students at risk on any point of time, and the process is streamlined. You get the insights, you identify the students at risk, and you can document and track your interventions. With Enflux, you know when to act, where to focus, what support to provide, and how to track progress. Now, I want to talk to you about Canvas dashboards. I know a few schools are using Blackboard. The reason we connect with Canvas, it's because it's heavily focused now on outcomes, and we'll show you some of that. But with our reports, you can quickly identify students at risk, identify their historical performance, and compare their performance with the course or at the course or the assessment level. So now let's go and take a look at that. So imagine that instead of going through spreadsheets, you can come in here and see how a specific set of students are performing. Let's pretend that we're looking at the cohort of 2025. We can see that 7 students are at risk and quickly identify who those students are and in which courses they're struggling. In addition to that, let's say that you have a specific group that you're tracking, the students that had been at risk. Just with one click, you can easily identify and track those students. This is extremely helpful. This is our student management. You can group students and add different labels so that you can quickly have access to them. Now, with this, we can see one student at a time. We can log in and see how the student is performing in the current semester, and we can see everything in one place. You're empowering academic advisors and mentors to have all the data that they need in front of them with just one click. Now, as we're evaluating how this specific student is performing, we might want to know how that student is performing across all the academic terms. Just with one click, the academic advisor can see if the student has been at risk throughout the program, through the student journey, or if this is the first time they're at risk. From here, when you find a student at risk, you can take action. You can document the action plan. So in here, for instance, I have a template. Amara is not performing well. Our objective is to increase the exam scores, achieve a minimum of 75% on the upcoming exams. We selected the course. We say that it's about AACP standard related to student services. And the student intervention that we're doing is remediation. We set a deadline, we select the student, and we select the academic advisor. When we do that and you save, it takes a screenshot of the data, it documents everything in one place, and that academic advisor is going to get an email notification about, hey, you have a student at risk, all in one place. Not only that, but we take a screenshot of the data, everything in one place. Now, this is just for Canvas. There's more and more use of Canvas outcomes. I would love to hear from you how many of the programs that have Canvas are using Canvas outcomes. Because with Canvas outcomes, we can identify students at risk, not at the assessment level or the course level, but at the competency level. We can also monitor their mastery of the competency and identify any gaps. Are we providing, not gaps at the curriculum, but gaps at the student level? Are we providing this student with enough with enough opportunities to obtain mastery on a certain competencies. So I'll click here and we'll go to this. So in here, I'm looking at one student at a time, Andrew Lee, and I can see, just imagine that these are the new competencies, how the student is performing on the competencies, how many times they were evaluated, which is just one, and what the average score was for that competency. Mastery is anything above 3, and you can see that the student is struggling with this competency and that competency. So now we can track competencies across time with Canvas. And not only that, but we can obtain the same data at the curriculum level. Now, with ExamSoft, I know a lot of schools are using ExamSoft as well. And here at Enflux, we're committed to offer the insights that you need. And that entails that we need to build a network of partners. And those partners are a diverse group of edtech companies, one of them being Canvas, Cord, ExamSoft, Blackboard, and more. With ExamSoft, we can identify students at risk at the key outcomes as well, monitor mastery, and identify gaps. So I'll show you how that looks. So as we log in here, we can see, there we go. We can see how one specific student is performing across time on the AACP Appendix 1 competencies. Once again, this is demo data, so it might look a little bit odd, but this is the kind of information that the academic advisors need so they can provide support, have that conversation with the student, and document everything in one place. Now, we can also have a conversation. Let me go back in here. We can also have a conversation about curriculum effectiveness. The really nice thing about having saving faculty time and administrators are cleaning spreadsheets and doing all of that and having the insights that they need so that they can take action is that there would be ongoing systematic review of the curriculum. With the curriculum effectiveness and gap analysis, you can assess alignment, spot threats, identify gaps, and also assess the quality of the assessment. So for instance, in here, I'm going to go to the curriculum effectiveness and gap analysis. And in here, we can see how the students are performing on a specific competency across time and how a specific question in ExamSoft has been used year over year. You can assess the quality of the question as well because it gives you the psychometric analysis. So you're getting the whole picture, not only how the students are performing in the curriculum, what are some of the areas that they're struggling with, but also what's the quality of the assessments. And I know I'm going through this quickly because the point is to see what's the process that your program needs to put in place so that you can have ongoing support to student success. Now, having all of this in one place has a huge impact. Our customers have been reducing attrition. They ease the faculty workload. They're streamlining processes and faculty don't have to work on spreadsheet or more assessment task or administrative task, which increases job satisfaction. And in addition to that, curriculum enhancement. You're utilizing data insights for ongoing improvement of the curriculum, and it's boosting NAPLEX scores. Now, I know all of you, we're going to be at the intro meeting at AACP. I know that everyone is asking, how are we going to get ready for the standards, the new standards? After reading the standards, I think I know that Enflux can help you with these points. Our curriculum map can help you map the new competencies with your program competencies and advanced education APIs. It can also help you with systematic curriculum assessment with continuous quality improvements of reviewing your curriculum, its delivery, and enhancing student support. And in addition, we can help you with accreditation compliance. I show you how with the action plans, you can document, track, and evaluate all of your interventions and quickly align them with the accreditation standards. So just by using Enflux on an ongoing basis, you're documenting everything that you need for accreditation, and at any point in time, you can assess your compliance with accreditation. Now, as I mentioned, I just wanted to start the dialogue. I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear your questions. And thank you so much for being here today.
Well, perfect. Thank you, Alejandra. So attendees, if you have any questions, please submit that to the questions feature. I'll be able to direct them to our panelists. So I'll get things started with, can the platform assist with the documentation for self-assessment and accreditation?
It does. Let me just go back. So every time you're taking action and documenting something, so imagine you're in the curriculum committee, evaluating how the students are performing in a certain curriculum, you can create an action plan. And by creating an action plan, you're documenting everything that you're doing for any of the accreditation standards. So let's say that you're doing curriculum design. So what happens? Well, what happens is that Enflux becomes your project management tool where you can come in and see how you're performing on the AACP standards. At any point in time, this is demo data, that's why it looks that way, but at any point in time, you can see how many action plans do we have for each of the accreditation standards, and are they open late? Did we close on time? Did we meet our goal? And you can also align this with your strategic plan.
Awesome, thank you. A question just came in. Is it compatible with D2L/Brightspace LMS?
Not at the moment. We want to hear your thoughts on how you would want to see some of those insights. We're evaluating right now Blackboard and D2L. The reason we haven't done those is because it's still course grades, and what we want is to focus a little bit more on competencies. But we can definitely talk about how we can support with D2L.
Thank you. Are there any tools within Enflux that factor in external factors affecting student performance?
Yes and no. We don't have the data, right? I think nobody has the data if there are any external factors like economic, financial difficulties or anything like that. I think data tells you that the student that was always performing well had a drastic drop of performance. So it's being flagged as a student at risk. When you meet with the student, it opens the dialogue of what's happening. Why are you underperforming? You have always performed well. That's why it's important to get the whole picture of how the student has performed in the program. So what happens is that through the action plans and having that dialogue with the student, you can create the action plan and document everything. And for student interventions, you can add different labels. It can be wellness, saying there's something happening with the student. It can be about external factors. It can be a lot of different things. But this is a nice way for you to document what kind of intervention is it, why the student is at risk, and you can track all of those interventions in one single dashboard that would tell you how many students have wellness issues, how many students have external issues, all in one place.
Thank you. Does Enflux require a subscription?
It does require a subscription. The university or the program has to obtain Enflux, and it's a yearly subscription. And the pricing depends on how many students you have and how many data connections you want us to connect to.
Is the strategic plan component an additional cost?
It's not. It comes with the platform, the strategic plan, the course catalog, the curriculum mapping tool, and we keep adding more and more to our platform.
Thank you. If a program uses Blackboard outcomes, does that make it easier, similar to Canvas outcomes?
Absolutely. If you're using Blackboard outcomes, please reach out. I would love to learn more about how you're utilizing that data so that we can see how feasible it is to connect to the data and start creating the reports.
Perfect. Is there a way to tag a student at risk upon admission before they have any data in Canvas/ExamSoft yet?
Absolutely. So we have what we call student groups. You can create, for instance, a label and say cohort of 2028, early admission or students at risk. And what happens is that whenever you go to any of our reports, you can just select that label and see how those students are performing. Instead of seeing the whole cohort, you're directing your focus to a specific group of students.
Thank you. Again, attendees, if you have any questions, please submit that to the questions feature. I'll be able to direct them to our speaker. So what is the process for accessing data with Enflux?
So the process is that we connect through APIs. It's more technical, but we meet with your IT department, we get specific tokens to the systems, and then we connect directly, and then we just ingest the data daily. The only systems that don't have that type of connection is the AACP surveys and NAPLEX, NABP, as you know. But we have automated the process. You just add the files to the platform and everything gets processed. As a fact, the 2023 NAPLEX scores were released last week. We have an analysis for all of your schools because it's public data. If you want to see what how Enflux can analyze your NAPLEX performance, please let us know. Book a quick meeting with us, 15 minutes. We'll go through the analysis and we'll give you a copy of the report.
Thank you. And kind of going off of that, how does Enflux ensure the security of the data?
That's an excellent question. So we train our team with FERPA. We have a lot of security protocols, HEC-backed, SOC 2. We follow all the different protocols. That's the reason because we do it the right way and we have partnership with the data sources. That's the main reason we're able to have contracts with state universities, which are the ones that are always asking for SOC 2 certificate and HEC-backed and FERPA training.
Thank you. And this was, I think, related to the security, especially to the confidential information regarding students. Are there different levels of access in the platform?
Absolutely, great question. So when you connect, let me have someone that has students. When you add a user, you specify if they have mentees, what courses can they see, and if they're part of committees. In addition to that, we added an expiration date for the user because sometimes you might want to add someone for a semester and then take the access, but you don't have to come and remember. You can just say, I'm adding a new user. They're an academic advisor for 3 students. We can select 1 student, and their access expires at the end of the year.
Thank you. Does your analysis of students at the level of admission include information on the various pre-pharmacy programs?
The various pre-pharmacy programs. Can you repeat the question again?
Sure. Does your analysis of the students at the level of admission including information on the various pre-pharmacy programs?
Not at the moment. We're right now evaluating, like our team is analyzing what kind of reports that we need to create with PharmCast. And I think there's an opportunity to do like a benchmark analysis where the same thing we do with AACP surveys or NAPLEX, that you can evaluate your performance with peer schools. There might be a way to evaluate your program performance with peer schools when it comes to admissions. So that's the analysis that we're considering at the moment.
Thank you. For faculty who are assigned to advise 5 to 6 students, what is the best tool for them to use when meeting quarterly with the students to assess how they're doing?
Excellent question. So the tools to use is, I always like to start with the learning management system, because the learning management system would tell you on which courses they're struggling. And then from there, if you're using Canvas outcomes, like let's say they're struggling with course X, let's go to Canvas outcomes. Then from there, I can go in and say, why are they struggling with this course? And I can go to either Canvas outcomes or I can go to ExamSoft and identify why the student is struggling. So we know the student is struggling, but why is the student struggling? And I'm just gonna select here like a demo term. Then from there, I can see how the student is performing at the competency level. And then we can track how the student is performing at the competency level compared to the cohort or the class. So that's a way that you can identify students at risk, and the academic advisor will have all the data in one place, including core data, so that they can see how the student is performing on the clinical rotations. So you have the whole picture, and then with the action plans, they can document everything in one place so that they can provide All of our action plans can be downloaded as a PDF. When you click on the PDF, then the academic advisor can share that PDF with the student, and it's the full analysis and the screenshot of performance. But imagine how powerful it is. Like, you're meeting with them quarterly basis, and instead of just saying, here's an app, log in and see your performance, you're actually sitting down with them, documenting everything, providing your insights, and then giving a copy of the evaluation to the student.
Thank you for that. Are there user groups that we can access to share best practices?
Ooh, I like that. User groups. We have a schedule. We'll send it in the email. We do have a schedule of recurring training sessions. And I'll talk to the team if we can do user groups so that they can share best practices. We do have several webinars that provide best practice on how our customers are utilizing Enflux to lower attrition. So we'll share that as well. But I'll talk to our customer success teams to see if they can provide a user group. But we do currently have recurring training sessions where you can attend.
Thank you for that. Do you have early alert features and notifications within the platform?
We did, and we're making it better. So what it is that you get an email notification saying that students within your course or students that are your mentees are at risk, and then it will provide a direct link to the report where you can see those students and how they're performing.
Thank you. As a follow-up to the user group question, there was a comment that came in that it's specifically as they move forward towards Canvas and ExamSoft setups.
I'm sorry.
For the best practices in user groups.
Okay, for the user group. Okay, perfect.
Yeah. Thank everyone for submitting questions. We do have all of it recorded in a log, and it will be provided to the Enflux team afterwards. So if I misspoke when I was asking the question, it will be provided in writing to our panelists.
And as I mentioned, if you want to see how we can help you, how Enflux analyzes an applicant's performance, please feel free to book a 15-minute meeting with us. We'll be more than happy to provide a copy of the report. And for that, let me share the code. If you scan this code, you should definitely be able to book a meeting with us.
Thank you. Another question just came in. Are there metrics for MPJE/CPJE tracking?
We do. We do have those as well. We have the MPAG tracking.
Well, thank you for that. And thank you for answering all the questions that have come in. Attendees, if you have any more, please submit them. I'll be able to direct them towards Alejandra. I'll keep this open for another minute or so in case any questions come in to give everyone a chance to ask our speaker.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Please let us know how we can help you. We're here to make sure that we streamline the process and that we help you have a systematic approach for curriculum assessment, evaluation of identifying students at risk, and make sure that you're ongoing compliance with accreditors. And we'll be at the conference. We'll be at the interim conference, so we're looking forward to seeing you all.
A quick question that just came in. Have the school's NAVPLEX performances from 2023 been updated in the system yet?
Yes, they had been updated last week.
Sure. Thank you. Good to know. All right. Well, I want to thank everyone for attending this session of the AACP sponsored webinar series. You can find recordings of this and other webinars on AACP Connect in the webinars tab found in the main navigation bar. Please join me in thanking our distinguished presenter, Alejandra Zertuche, for her time and insights.
Thank you very much. And I'll see you at the conference.